Hello, everybody. My name is Abraham Lincoln, and today in my speech with my other fellow moderate, progressive, and smart-minded Republicans, we will be talking about what is wrong with our party today, and how it's been extreme, and how it's ignored the basic fundamental of people, including common sense ideas like healthcare, reform, civil rights, including people with disability rights, and even workers' rights themselves. I will tell you a little bit about myself today. When I was a former U.S. Senator from Illinois, I'd always advocated for ending slavery, supporting workers' rights, and even addressing some of my other ideas like healthcare reform today. Because I've seen too many people who've been poor couldn't afford healthcare that they need. And also the reason why I spoke against slavery and wanted to end slavery was because I believe that every person deserves to have the right to own their own property, and how slavery was a sin. And it made me so sad seeing many of my fellow African American, including African American women, being mistreated poorly, being whipped, being beaten, being mistreated, and not getting paid, you know. But when I was president of the United States, it wasn't easy trying to convince my own party, including those Southern Democrats, just to stand up with me to say slavery was bad. I worked very hard in my presidency to support trying to get the 13th Amendment to end slavery, and then to write my own Emancipation Proclamation to speak out against slavery and to allow slaves to come to the free states and to encourage many African Americans to join the Union to fight for their freedom. You know, what makes me sad today is how the Republican Party today ignores helping workers' rights, blaming workers, poor people, blaming minorities for problems that they didn't cause, you know. And also what makes me sad is some of the Republicans that are very extreme are saying that slavery never existed. You know, if I was alive today, I'd be shocked and heartbroken myself because slavery is a sin, slavery is cruel, and slavery causes discrimination, hate, and bigotry. But now just want to say that I will introduce to you my other good friend, Teddy Roosevelt, today. Hello, everybody. My name is Teddy Roosevelt. I'm a Rough Rider, a progressive Republican, a smart-minded person, and a former president of the United States. When I was a Rough Rider for the Spanish-American War, I had fought alongside with minorities, including African Americans, in the Spanish-American War. Being a Rough Rider had taught me many things. It was good to work with other people from different backgrounds, and also it taught me the importance of standing up against racism that we face in my time and also in today's time. When I served in public service for a long time before becoming president, I've seen many minorities, people with disabilities, and women facing discrimination because they were different from other people. And also seeing many workers who were injured on their job, lost benefits, and even were hurt on the job and got sick were not even being taken care of by the company or the corporation they worked at. When I became president of the United States, I had created this idea called the Fair Deal. And my Fair Deal idea was to help workers' rights by giving them good wages, supporting the idea of giving them sick pay, and even bonuses to help them when they lose their job. But also another thing too was when I was president of the United States, I supported civil rights, disability rights, and supported the idea of women's rights because women deserve to be contributed to society. I never regret supporting these ideas because they were good. And also to mention too was when I was president of the United States, I had advocated for universal health care reform. The reason why I advocated for universal health care reform was because I've seen too many people who were poor, disadvantaged, and even when the government couldn't help them, they needed medical care. It broke my heart poorly. But also being a progressive Republican had taught me to be a compassionate man, to help people who are in need, people who don't have help from the government, and even minorities, people with disabilities, and women who face discrimination or couldn't get help from anybody else on different needs. You know, It makes me so sad to see how my own party, the GOP, has gone too extreme. They're anti-women's rights, they don't support civil rights, they don't support people with disability rights, and they don't support universal health care reform. They favor big tax cuts, tax breaks to corporations that abuse workers' rights, or give them tax breaks when they want corporations to donate to political campaign groups, including both parties, to be against workers' rights. It breaks my heart to see what has been happening today. I wish my own party could please remember that a Teddy Roosevelt, a progressive Republican, isn't a bad thing. It makes you a human being, makes you a good person, and even makes you a better person and advocating for people's rights. And I will introduce you to my other friend, Davy Crockett. Hi guys, my name is Davy Crockett, and I am a king of the wild frontier. I wrestled a bear, and even I was a former congressman from Tennessee. You know, before I was served in politics, I was an ordinary man, a frontier man. I would go around walking in nature, public lands, exploring different forests, and even meeting Native Americans myself. When I met a Native American community, I've always told myself that it's good to listen to what these people are going through. Yes, it wasn't easy at that time because there were many people who didn't support Native American rights at that time. But as I saw the Native Americans being mistreated poorly, it broke my heart poorly. So, when I went to serve in Congress from Tennessee, I spoke in favor of Native American rights. I always advocate for better funding for Native American communities because they deserve good care and they deserved to be appreciated when we had taken land away from them. And also to mention too, when I was in Congress too, I spoke out against industries that would pollute the environment, public lands, because I wanted to protect the environment for people to use. And I believe protecting the environment is beneficial to all people, including Native American communities, people who are poor, and people to get better access to safe drinking water, and even to plant good food for themselves. But also I want to tell you another thing too that I did when I was in Congress from Tennessee. I spoke in favor of African American rights and against racism because seeing too many of my fellow African Americans get discriminated for being different. I want to tell you guys today that I wish that the party today could remember myself. I know that I'm very different from many other people, but I wish the Republicans could say, hey, I remember Davy Crockett. I remember when he advocated for good rights and also protect the environment. But I'm very sad today seeing what's going on with the GOP today, where they're supporting big companies and polluters to pollute our environment, including the air, the water, and public lands, including Native American reservations, without thinking things through. Yes, to be honest, it's not easy living in a world where we cannot rely on like gas and oil, but we must have to remember to learn that we have to protect the environment or to find some common ground, like maybe support environmental protection, even support funds to clean water, and to even clean public lands from pollution, and to provide funds to communities who are disadvantaged or when their community gets hurt or polluted, including Native Americans, they need. I'd also like to address that I understand that I wasn't born in modern times, but I always had envisioned a world where we didn't have to rely on oil and gas. That was one of my dreams when I served in Congress. I always dreamed that we would not be dependent too much on oil and gas. I hope that someday we have more people who are moderate Republicans or even smart-minded like myself to advocate for environmental protection and to stand up against oil and gas and big polluters when they pollute the environment or pollute communities themselves. I would like to say that I would like to bring over Abraham Lincoln to give another message to say. Hi everybody, I just want to say thank you for listening to my speech today and Davy Crockett and also Teddy Roosevelt about why the GOP has gone too extreme and some of our experiences being smart-minded Republicans that are liberal or progressive but support common sense ideas like workers' rights, civil rights, including people with disability rights, speaking against racism, and speaking against the abusive of the industries that pollute the environment, and also against corruption from big corporations. I would like to ask many of you, if you are people who feel like the Republican Party has lost touch with you, is to please reach out to your congressional members that are Republicans, or even if they're extreme, to tell them please support common sense ideas like environmental protection, support civil rights, including people with disability rights, and even support workers' rights, and including the need to stand up against Wall Street, the greed of corporations that really destroy our society today. I'll bring over Teddy Roosevelt. He has one other thing to say. Hello, everybody. I know that it's very difficult in politics to talk about universal health care reform because universal health care reform is very expensive. And yes, it can be costly, but we must remember that we have to be compassionate for many people who can't afford health insurance, people who are poor, people who are disadvantaged, some people who are minorities, people with disabilities, and women who can't get access to health care. I hope you guys can help encourage the Republican Party to support universal health care reform, because it makes me sad to see when the Republican Party wants to weaken health care reform. I'll bring over Davy Crockett to talk about his other speech today. Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening to my speech today. I know it was a lot of work, and I want to say thank you to Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt for giving me the opportunity to talk. Well, I want to give you this final message. I hope you guys can take the time to advocate for protecting the environment and public lands, and to even help protect Native Americans' rights, including minority communities and communities that are poor. And I want to say, please advocate for better equality too, because we cannot afford going backwards where we have communities where they face discrimination, face hate for being different, and even have big polluters try to destroy public lands and destroy the way of life. And also want to add another thing too, is Teddy Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln did a good job talking about the need to help workers' rights, And I want to say, for any of you to say is please to be compassionate about people with disabilities, minorities, women, and people who are poor, and even workers, because they are the backbone of this country. They work hard and sacrifice their time trying to help our society. Yes, to be honest, it's not easy always holding a job. You can always lose a job any time. You can get sick. You can get injured on any job. Or you don't know what to do in life. But I would encourage many of you, please, to be compassionate to the people who are trying to help this country. It makes me sad seeing politicians, not just Republicans, but some Democrats, when they fail to listen to helping workers' rights, civil rights, disability rights, and even advocating for protecting the environment. I want to say, please always advocate for good things, because we cannot go backwards again. And like I said, I would appreciate many of you for taking the time to listen to me. And thank you so much. And also, please convince not just only Republicans, but also convince Democrats to support the basic fundamental ideas that me, Teddy Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln talked about. Well, have a good day, and let us know what you think of our speech.